Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Packer Potential Prospect Series. Now that we are 3 weeks away from day 2 of the NFL Draft, less than 3 weeks away from the first round. But we're going to take a look at a couple more defensive players. Potential picks for the Packers, either for that first round pick or maybe early day 2. Let's start off with another corner, shall we? Big Ten fans, you've probably seen him, probably familiar with him a little bit. Taking a look at Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. A little bit of a bigger corner, 6'2", about $195. All right, a little taller corner there. So what does Daniel Jeremiah, draft expert from NFL.com, have to say about Will Johnson? It says Johnson is a big cornerback with easy, fluid movement skills and excellent instincts. He played outside and in the slot at Michigan. In off coverage, he's very smooth and relaxed. He doesn't panic, settles on routes, and can find and play the ball. He had an impressive flat-footed read against USC that he turned into a pick six. Has the size, length to press and match up with bigger wideouts. The two issues that showed up in his 2024 game tape were inconsistency as a support player against the run and questions about his deep speed. He wasn't ultra-aggressive to attack ball carriers, and he was run over multiple times. He can alleviate any concerns about his speed during athletic testing in the spring. Overall, Johnson isn't a perfect player, but I do love his blend of size and ball skills. Yeah, you definitely look at the physical traits. I mean, you got a taller corner at 6'2", about $195. He can play man coverage. He can play zone coverage. And given some of the size of the wide receivers that we see in this league, to have a guy who's 6'2" and close to 200 pounds over there, it'd be nice to have that bigger corner playing on the outside, right? Be nice to have that type of guy. So it's easy to see where he could fit within this Packers defense. The one issue that would probably make you a little bit nervous, and it comes up a lot, is his tackling. And especially trying to bring down maybe a bigger receiver or some ball carriers in the running game. So that would probably be something, whoever drafts him, if it's the Packers in this case, if the Packers decide to draft him, that would definitely be probably an area that they would want to improve and want to try to get him to be better at. Now, you can look at some clips. I was looking at some clips yesterday of him, and yes, there's going to be some where it looks like he's an effective tackler in the open field. But you look at the bigger sample size, and it's definitely an area that he could be more consistent at, something that he could be better at. And when you look at what he did this past year, he was a third-team AP All-American, honorable mention All-Big Ten, tied for the team lead with a couple picks, set school records with 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns in his career, started 6 games this year, but he missed the second half of the season with a foot injury. So, does that come into play? It's like, oh no, another corner that's coming in banged up, and then it's a foot injury. Is that a little bit of a concern too? So, didn't compete at the combine. I shouldn't say compete, but didn't participate in the combine drills and such. But man, when you talk about size and you talk about the length that he has, he's definitely intriguing. Would definitely be intriguing to nab with that first round pick if he's there for Green Bay. And just, yes, he's got the experience playing inside, playing as a slot corner a little bit, but I'd put him on the outside and match him up with some of those bigger wideouts that we see in the NFL. And then there's another guy that I want to talk about, give you a little bit of a background, and probably not a very popular name, and it's probably because the college that he played at. And you don't really hear his name a whole lot, but he potentially could be somebody there in the back end of the first round or maybe early day 2 that the Packers would take a hard look at if they were looking to add more depth to their defensive line, more depth to their edge rusher. And that's Mike Green. He's an edge rusher from Marshall. He's listed as 6'3", about 250, between 250 and 255 pounds. He started off his career playing at Virginia, and then last year, second-team AP All-American, Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Year, first-team All-Sun Belt, finished a finalist for the Ted Hendricks Award, nation's top defensive end, led the FBS with 17 sacks, ranked second with 22.5 tackles for loss, led the team with 3 forced fumbles, started all 13 games. Marshall opted out of the Independence Bowl this past year. But you look at, 2023, he also played in all 13 games, made 1 start, 43 tackles. 9 of those were tackles for loss, had 4.5 sacks on there too. But you look at the production, you look at the results, and it's like, okay, yeah, that production's there. You want a guy that racks up the sack numbers and the TFLs, the tackles for losses, he's there. What does Daniel Jeremiah have to say about him? Green was an ultra-explosive and productive edge rusher for the Thundering Herd. He jumped on the radar with an outstanding performance against Ohio State in September and continued to dominate through the entire campaign. He's continued to add weight over the last year and checked in over at 250 pounds at the Senior Bowl. In the pass game, he has an excellent get-off and he can convert speed to power. He has quick hands and wins with a dip/rip on the edge. He has enjoyed success with spin moves, but he gets a little too reliant on them at times. I love his effort to keep working and refuse to stay blocked. In the run game, he knocks back tight ends at the point of attack, and he can pop separate to free himself for tackles. He is very disruptive on stunts and games. Overall, Green is a very gifted pass rusher and more than holds his own against the run. Sounds like a lot of positives, right? A lot of positives when it comes to Mike Green. The one thing that may jump out is his size. Is he big enough to play defensive ends in a 4-3? Can he do that? That's and as Jeremiah says, he continues to add weight. I feel like Green Bay probably would want him to add a little bit more because Rashawn Gary is about 270, 275. Same for Van Ness. So they may want him to be just a little bit more. But you look at the production that he brings to the table, the production that he had at the college game last year, you can't argue with the numbers. And you look at some of his next-gen stats. Number 1 in defensive end/edge for athleticism score. Ranked number 1. Ranked 3rd in total scores for the 2025 Combine defensive end edge rankings. 3rd. So the production is there. He brings a high energy. He brings a high motor. He's got a few different pass rushing moves. But the biggest thing is going to be his size. Can he fit as a 4-3 defensive end? I read one report, too, that he plays so hard that he may run out of gas at times. But I don't know if Green Bay continues to do their rotation where guys like their defensive ends and their defensive linemen are only playing like 60% of the snaps. Is that much of a concern? I don't think it's that much of a concern if he plays so hard that he just kind of runs out of gas a little bit. If they continue to do rotation and such, I guess I don't view that as a big time concern. Now, if they decide to okay, we want to keep these guys out 90, 100% of the time, okay, yeah, sure. But you can't argue with the production that that he put out there. And there's going to be, well, look at the college he played at. Marshall, quality of competition. Sun Belt Conference isn't necessarily the Big Ten or the SEC. You're going to have some of that too. Yeah, that's going to be a talking point. But if Green Bay is serious about bringing in more edge rushing help, defensive end help, this is a guy that produced at a high level last year at the college game.